Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe Geiger alongside Andrew Greig, and welcome back to another episode of Nighttime, and welcome to what probably is the greatest month on the sports calendar. It is finally March, and March equals madness. Andrew, how are we feeling today? And happy March.
I'm so excited for it to be March, Joe. It's the greatest month in the whole sports calendar. We've suffered through a long winter, and now we finally get to experience what is the madness, what is March.
Wait. But let's get into some of the games we saw this weekend, and we're going to start it off with the UCF Knights taking on number 19 BYU in a late night tip at Provo. And this one was all Knights from the get-go. As Jordan Burks pulls up and hits from deep, UCF comes away with a steal and turns it into some offense as Folks hits Burks and he drills another three ball. BYU did actually play in this game despite the score.
Did they?
And they grab a high arcing two here, and they cut the lead down a little bit, but still well with it here, and he fires one to Pacheco in the corner, and he nails one from deep. The Knights hit 11 threes in the first half and 14 in the game. Second half, UCF still on fire. It's Burks with another three, and UCF is up by 32 points. BYU drills a meaningless corner three on the other end and would make a small late push in the second half to make the score at least a tad bit respectable. But it was all Knights all night as Folks adds two more with this lay. He had 24 in the game with 11 assists. What a win for UCF on the road.
Knights looking for their fourth straight win against the Bears, who would get off to a hot start early with Cameron Carr nailing a 27-foot three. From one leading scorer to another, Riley Kugel with a nice spin move and into a floater. Knights down only one. Cameron Carr in the corner now, this time with a hand in his face, and it doesn't matter, putting the Baylor Bears back up to 7. The Bears would find Carr over and over again in the first half, and this three would give him 20 points in the first half. Baylor would finish the period with 56. Second half now, and Folks with a wide open shot that's no good. Tip back out to him, and Kugel with a step back three to put the Knights within 5. Chris Johnson was a major contributor over the last few weeks and finds Devin Cambridge for a slam and one, getting the crowd hype in Orlando. Tie game now with 40 seconds left. The defense is swarming, but Ovi Agnew hits the long two to put the Baylor Bears back up in front. Folks on the opposite end, and airballs the layup, but Cambridge comes up with a huge rebound, gets back, puts it back up, fouled hard, and hits both free throws. Knights, Bears tied with 30 seconds left. Baseline out of bounds now, and the ball goes to Agnew, who puts up the shot, but he's fouled by Riley Kugel. The Palm Fronds would come up big on the first free throw, but Agnew hits the second one, essentially ending the game. And the free throw at the free throw line, the first one he's made, and the second one he misses. Knights would end up losing this one in Orlando.
On to a pivotal matchup in the Big Ten between Michigan State and Purdue. The Boilermakers went down 2-0 in this one, but then went on a 9-0 run to start, all capped off by this Smith lay. Smith would then find Oscar Clough on a no-look alley-oop slam, and Mackey Arena is rocking early. Michigan State would quickly settle in with an and 1-3 here in a highlight reel poster slam from Cohen Carr. Boom. Ooh. Hey, he wasn't done, though, but Purdue would lead at the break. Here's Cohen Carr once again with another hard slam, and he was rocking the rim all game, but he's not done with the highlight reels as he windmills it here for his third dunk of the game. He scored 11 in the game, all in slam fashion. Purdue joins the dunk show on a Smith pass to Kaufman-Rem for a slam. 2-point game in the final 2 minutes, and Jackson Kohler spins in the paint and gets it to go, and MSU is up by 4. Purdue would lay it in on the other end to get it back to a one-possession game, and with 3 seconds left, it's Braden Smith for the win at the buzzer.
No good!
It's a Sparty party as they get the upset road victory.
Sparty party moving into another top 10 Big Ten matchup. Wolverines in Illini. Kylan Boswell kicks it out to Mirkovic, who breaks the tie, hitting the 28-footer. The first half would be a back and forth affair as Lendenberg drives in for the layup and puts Michigan back up by 17-16. The Wolverines move fast in transition here on a transition opportunity, creating a 3-on-1 where L.J. Kaysen finds Morris Johnson for 2. The second half is where Michigan would start to pull away, and it's Morris Johnson again, this time rocking the rim and putting the Michigan Wolverines back up by 8. Elliott Cadu with an elite find, his 7-3 center, Adai Mara, who jumps 5 inches, puts it down, and the Michigan Wolverines would take this one in a Big Ten big matchup.
Some big games this weekend, but obviously let's start with our UCF Knights in the most recent game against Baylor, a loss. Obviously the foul at the end. Was that a foul? Or would the refs give Baylor a win there?
I don't think it was a foul, and it might be a little bit of UCF Knights bias, but if he did touch him, it was very marginal, and I think that Riley Kugel definitely was playing him a little bit close, but to end the game, that's the foul you're going to call to end the game. I think that the refs probably could have let him get away with whatever marginal contact there was, and I think that game probably should have went to overtime.
I definitely saw him kind of kick out his leg a little bit, which should be an offensive foul, but at the same time, as you mentioned, Kugel probably should have given a little bit of space. If he hits a 3 for the win in your face, so be it, but you definitely can't let him go to the line. But BYU game. Man, was that awesome. Was that BYU game, was it UCF's best win of the season?
Not only UCF's best win of the season, but it's probably the win that gets them into the March Madness tournament. I think that if you go on the road against a top 20 team in the nation and you're able to win by essentially 30 points, I hate when teams do this, right? They're losing the whole game and then they try to make a push the very end. Their number one overall pick in the NBA draft probably this year, if it's not Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsta was playing in that game to the final minute. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's an injury risk there, and it also just means that we didn't win the game by as many points as it really was. Michael Stillwell wasn't in there for the majority of the second half. I think it was not only UCF's best win, but it was dominant. It was a dominant performance. We were up by 36 points at one point during the game. Curious to hear your thoughts. Was that UCF's best win?
Absolutely. We've seen how hard it is to win in the Big 12 this year, especially for UCF. And to do it by as much as 36 points in a tough environment in BYU, they had 14 threes in this game. They scored 11 in the first half. They came out on fire, wire to wire, their best finish, as I said in the VO, all night. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was also like the environment. The BYU crowd stayed for the whole game, but the commentators were saying it was the quietest they'd ever heard that arena. It was quiet from essentially start to finish, besides the little run that they had at the end. And it's very encouraging to see the Knights get a big win like this, right? Because we've seen some big losses from the Knights, but finally they're able to win from wire to wire against a really good team. So I do think it was the best.
As
win
you said, should be our tournament lock game. So I think so too. Right now, all the major bracketologists have the Knights in their respective brackets as a 7 seed versus UCLA in the West region. That's Fox. Joe Lenardi has us as a 9 seed versus Iowa. CBS has us as an 8 seed versus SMU, and On3 has us as a 10 seed versus Clemson. What are your thoughts? Is that what ranking or what seed do you think UCF should get?
I think Fox has maybe had one too many Knights games as of recently. I think 7 might be a little bit much at this point, but I think that the 8 to 9 range is probably where we sit. Personally, I think that it'd probably be better to be, obviously a 7 seed would be the best case scenario, but a 10 seed even doesn't hurt us because you have similar teams in that range, and then also you avoid playing one of those 1 seeds in the second round if the Knights were to make it there. And it just the top 3 teams, especially this year, have separated themselves as really, really good teams this year. And if you can miss out on playing them by possibly getting a 7 or a 10 seed, I think that's more ideal than an 8 or a 9 seed.
I think we're probably a perfect 8 or 9 seed at the moment, but we'll see. We still have a couple games to go to maybe get to a 7 or maybe a 6 seed, but hopefully not dip into a 10 seed range. But let's move on to our current 1 and 2 seeds right now. We have Florida going into a 2 seed, Iowa State, Illinois, Purdue, and the 1 seeds are looking like Duke, Michigan, Arizona, and UConn. Any of those teams catch your eye?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, the top 3 being Duke, Arizona, and Michigan seem like they're locks for the number 1 seeds this season. It feels like Duke has done enough throughout the course of the conference play. Arizona slipped up a little bit late, but still, I think that they're one of the best teams in the nation. I think that they'll retain the number 1 seed. And Michigan, besides that Duke loss a couple of days ago, has been playing some of the best basketball of anybody in the nation. So I think those 3 are pretty solidified. I think UConn could maybe slip, especially if the Big 12 conference tournament winner doesn't come from Houston. Houston's not even on this graphic, but I think that they're definitely in contention for a 1 or 2 seed. And I think that if Iowa State or that mix of teams makes it and wins the Big 12 tournament, they're possibly in contention for a 1 seed, if not at the very least a 2 seed.
Well, both of our championship picks from earlier in this season, Duke and Iowa State, are both in there. Are you still sticking with Duke?
I mean, it's hard not to at this point, right? Getting the win over what was the hottest team in all of basketball in Michigan, and just throughout the course of the season, Cameron Boozer's led that team to what is new heights. He's probably the Naismith Basketball Player of the Year. And he is putting himself in contention for probably top 3 to top 5 NBA draft pick. I think that Duke looks pretty good as usual, and they're at least primed for a Final Four run. I definitely wouldn't want to see them if we were like an 8 or 9 seed in the tournament.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to stick with Iowa State. I mean, they've been good all year. They've been consistent after a couple of early losses. They've been very good, but right now, some of the hottest teams, one of them is definitely Florida, which we saw in that graphic. They've won 14 of the last 15, and they've been winning games in dominant fashion. They just smoked Arkansas in a top 25 matchup on Saturday. But I think the biggest talking point in college basketball, and one we haven't touched on, is Miami of Ohio. They're undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, coming from a different Miami Miami team, fan, I think that the Miami, Ohio story is great, right? And the fact that they're able to go through the course of the whole regular season without a loss at this point, it's awesome. And the fact that they've had some close ones and been able to pull it out, I think that this team is probably in March Madness even without winning their conference tournament, which is hard to do from a school that's not in either the Big 12, the Big 10, ACC, any of the power conferences. So I think that the storyline around them has been amazing this season. And 29, and I also love the graphics that are like end O with the OH or OM.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
that would make a good T-shirt.
Yeah,
eventually. That was going to be my next question. Do they get in if they don't win their conference tournament? But you said yes, and I agree with you. I think if they go 30-0 and still don't win the MAC, they 100% deserve a bid for the season that they've had. But is there any hot teams maybe you'd like to also take a look at?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it before, right? Florida, which was on the graphic before, they have won 14 of their last 15, and they have been just in dominant fashion, right? They look like the Florida team that we were used to seeing before. They're back in the top 10. I think they're one of the best teams in the nation. They're getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, and teams need to get hot right now. It's now or never. 2 more games for UCF. We have conference tournaments coming up and a bracket coming out in a few weeks.
I love March.
When we come back, we're going to talk about some Cinderella stories in the past, so stay tuned.
We'll be right back for your show. For now, let me give you a quick rundown of what the Hitting the Field Network has planned for you. My name is Edgar Rodriguez, and I'm the host of Hitting the Field Season 22, live streaming every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. There, you'll find me and our expert guests talking about everything in the wide world of sports. On Tuesday, get ready because it's Season 10 of Nighttime. Hosted by Andrew, Greig, and Joe Geiger, Nighttime keeps you up to date on everything happening in the world of college sports and UCF athletics. Moving on to Wednesday, we have Season 8 of The Combine, hosted by our very own Kathleen Moore. This podcast takes a deep and technical dive into everything NFL, and you won't want to miss that. On Thursday, we go live with Bets, where our Bets boys, Ben Huber, Augie Aronson, and Scott Harris, will give their expert opinion that might just make you some money. On Friday, Season 4 of Girls Got Game takes over with only the hottest topics in women's sports, hosted by none other than Katie Sue Christensen and Mia Flores. And to round out the week, Season 3 of HTFC comes on Saturday, hosted by Octavius Lawrence and Santiago Molina. Soccer never stops, and HTFC will be your stop for everything in the world of football. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok, where you can find non-stop additional content, as well as stay updated on all HTFN news. Lastly, leave a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the Hitting the Field Network on YouTube. That's all I got. I'm Edgar Rodriguez signing off. Enjoy the rest of your show.
It's time for a little blast from the past, Cinderella edition here on Nighttime. Obviously, March is our favorite month in the calendar, and we've brought 2 special guests to come on and recap some Cinderellas from years past. Jack Kelly and Mason Best, how are you guys doing?
Doing phenomenal. I'm thrilled to be back for another week. How can you not love March? One of the best months of the year for sports.
Jack?
We made it, y'all. We made it to March. It's the best time. I love March Madness. I love the tournament. Let's do this.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a little game here called Remember the Cinderella. Me and Andrew are going to drop you guys some hints on past Cinderella teams, and you guys are going to do your best to collaborate and guess on who we are talking about. So let's get right into it to the first one. This team won an auto bid in the Conference USA tournament. They had a 31-3 regular season. They were 9 seed in the East region, and they did end up making the Final Four. We'll give you those hints to start. Jack, anything on that one yet?
I think I got this one on lock. I think I kind of already know.
Go ahead and say it then if you know it.
Is this the Florida Atlantic University Owls?
Oh, how did you get it?
No, he's too good. This is indeed the FAU Owls. They beat Tennessee in the Sweet 16, beat a 16 seed FDU in round 2, had that 1-point win
Tough
against
matchup.
Memphis. Yeah, and then they beat Kansas State in the Elite Eight, and then they ended up obviously losing on the San Diego State buzzer beater in that Final Four. But what a run this one was.
What a run. I actually was at the Final Four game in Houston. It was an awesome game to watch until the very end. My sister is a FAU Atlantic alumni, so it was cool to watch some Miami Hurricanes fans all throughout the household. So tough day, because both those teams lost, but an
At
incredible,
least you made it.
Yeah, incredible run, and FAU's first ever Final Four in their history, and just a great overall tournament. There's plenty of upsets. There were plenty of good teams that made the fight. UConn obviously ended up winning that tournament. So anything from you, Mason? Were you pretty locked in on the FAU also being the winner of that?
Yeah, that one was an easy one. FAU had one of the best runs out of a Florida team in recent years, and how can you not love it as a Florida native and a Florida fan of like most Florida schools?
Okay, well, we're going to drop some hints about the next one. Maybe this one won't be as easy. This one is a 2018 out of the A10. They also made the Final Four. They had some hype around them from a couple of different things, maybe not even basketball related. I'm going to drop those hints at first. If you need any other ones, I'll give you some more. Mason, we'll start with you. What do you think?
I think I have a little bit of a guess. We're going to go with the Loyola Chicago team.
God, these guys are good.
These guys know their March Madness.
These guys are good. This Loyola Chicago team was an 11 seed from the South region. They won their first 2 games on game winners in the final few seconds, and then they also beat Kansas State in that Elite Eight, and then they ended up losing to Michigan in the Final Four. And what you were referencing on what they were going viral for, not just for basketball, but Sister Jean on the sideline was what they were going viral for. And they had a super exciting run, all these close games, these buzzer beater finishes. What a run.
Yeah, again, this one starts in South Florida, being the Miami Hurricanes off that buzzer beater, and then from there it was just a Cinderella run for the ages. Being able to make it all the way to the Final Four is something that you don't really see a lot of double-digit seeds being able to do, and then obviously an A10 team in Loyola Chicago. They had just a great story around them in general. Jack, any thoughts on this Loyola Chicago team?
I remember watching that entire run. I remember watching it and being like, how do they keep on winning? Shout out Sister Jean. It was fun to see her get hype on the sidelines with the team.
All right. You guys are 2 for 2. Let's keep it going. We'll go to the next one. This team won 19 games in the regular season out of the Metro Atlantic Championship Conference, and they beat Kentucky in the first round. You know what? We'll just go with that. We'll make it a little trickier for you guys. Those are your first 2 hints. Jack, we'll start off with you.
Okay. This could be one of 2 teams, but if we're going off of who had the farthest run, this is the St. Peter's Peacocks.
Oh,
Man, these guys are just on fire today. They were. A lot of 15 seeds have been beating Kentucky recently. And this was, as he said, the furthest a 15 seed has ever gotten. They got to the Elite Eight. Murray State in the second round, Purdue in the Sweet 16, and then ended up making the Elite Eight.
Yeah, this Kentucky team just likes losing to double-digit teams. It reminds me of Jack Golke as well. But yeah, the St. Peter's Peacocks, what a run from them. It was one of the craziest runs we've ever seen. And a 15 seed being able to beat a blue blood in Kentucky and then move on, also beat Purdue on that last second miss, and then by Jaden Ivey. And it was just a great run by them in general. Any thoughts, Mason? Were you on the same page as well with that being St. Peter's?
Yeah, me and Jack were on the same page there. That St. Peter's run was amazing, and how can you not love the Peacocks?
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree.
Hey, you got to let the Peacocks fly. Doug Edert was the guy for them that tournament.
And they were flying, weren't they?
They were flying, even though we know Peacocks don't fly. It's okay. But
yeah.
Let's go to the next one. Why don't you give them the next hints?
Let's do it. Well, this one is from 2013, so that should already give you a slight hint. This team was out of the American Conference. They were a 9 seed, and the first team they beat on their Cinderella one was the Pittsburgh Panthers. We'll start with you, Mason. What do you think this team is?
Could this be the Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast Eagles?
This is not the Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast Eagles.
Give me a few more hints, and then we'll pitch it to Jack.
Okay. Well, my next hint is that they went to the Final Four this year. They had a huge run during the course of the regular season, and the teams that they beat on their way there were Pittsburgh, Gonzaga, LaSalle, Ohio State, and they did end up losing to the eventual champion. So that gives you quite a lot to go off of. Jack, who do you think it is?
Okay. I hope I'm not confusing the years here. If it's not FGCU, is it Wichita State?
It is indeed Wichita State. And what's their name?
The Shockers.
The Shockers. I mean, perfect for March Madness.
They're
the
shocking
perfect
people left and
Cinderella
right.
team. Yeah, they did end up losing to Louisville in that Final Four championship. And as I said, their name just embodies what March Madness is all about. The Wichita State Shockers. Any more thoughts on this squad?
Yeah, I mean, what a run. I felt bad for Gonzaga that year. I was pretty young, so I wasn't really conceiving much of March Madness, but a 1 seed going down like that, Gonzaga is always a pretty good, easy team to root for. But man, the Wichita State Shockers, how can you not root for a team like
their
that?
Point guard, Fred VanVleet.
Ooh,
Freshman
Fred VanVleet, Raptors legend.
Was leading the charge for the Shockers. But let's get to the next one. I almost said it by accident there. This team stole an auto bid in their conference tournament. They won 5 straight games in 5 straight days, and then won 4 in a row in the NCAA tournament to make the Final Four that year. Jack, come on. It's a recent one. Let's see what you got.
That's the NC State Wolfpack with
Oh,
DJ
This
Burns.
man.
kid's good.
He knows his stuff.
This kid is good. Yeah, they beat Texas Tech. Then they beat Oakland, who beat Kentucky in an upset fashion the game before. They beat Marquette, and then they beat Duke And they were led by DJ Burns, who scored 29 in that Duke, the 6'9", 275 power forward.
Yeah, no, it was a great tournament run. Burns was one of the highlights of that March Madness, and also their walkout every game was a lot of fun. It was an amazing story just because of the fact that they shouldn't have made this tournament, right? They needed to win the ACC tournament to be able to get in it. Like you mentioned, 5 games, 5 days. They won all of them, and then straight off of that, they go into playing it for in March Madness, and they win 4 straight games to make it to the Final Four. Was that where you were at as well, Mason?
That was where I was at on that one. That was another phenomenal run, super recent memory, so that one's fresh in the brain.
Well, let's move on to the final one. It is from 2021, and it is a team out of the Summit League. They were 15 seed, and they were one of the only 15 seeds to ever make the Sweet 16. We're going to start with you, Mason. Who do you think this is?
Oh, I think you have me beat twice in a row. I'm going to see if Jack has this one.
Okay.
Give me Oral Roberts.
Oh, Jack Kelly.
100%.
That's why you have teammates right there.
Here we
You
go.
can pitch it, phone a friend. But yeah, that would be Oral Roberts. They just went 16-10 in the regular season, ended up getting in the tournament. They won 8. There was only 8 teams in that Summit League, so.
Beautiful assist by you as well, Mason.
Way to throw the
Lay a
lob.
screen, that's what I had to do.
Yeah. Well,
And they knocked off 2-seeded Ohio State in that first round. And then Florida, who was a 7 seed that year, and then they eventually lost to Arkansas by 2 in the Sweet 16, led by Max Abmas and Kevin Obanor.
Yeah, I think that this win over Florida probably haunts them to this day, right? Because they're a team that if you can make it to the Sweet 16, their fans probably think you can make it all the way. But being stumped by Oral Roberts in the round of 32 was nothing that anyone saw coming. They probably shouldn't have even made it to the round of 32, much less the Sweet 16. Great run for them, although they only won 2 games out of the Summit League. You're not really expected to win any games, but that's all the teams we've got.
Yeah, and who knows who will be the Cinderella this year? We'll know in a few weeks. Stay tuned for the next segment. It'll be conference realignment in college football.
You never got me anything for my birthday.
I don't even know what that is. I thought birthdays were every 100 years like the Kids' Choice Awards.
What?
Ah, finally, he's here, man. He's always late.
Who? Marcus?
You good? I'd give them one of these and one of these.
Behind every on-screen moment is a whole team of engineers and technologists.
And you can be a part of such a team through SIMTY at UCF. You'll join a team of students just like you who are ready to innovate the future of TV and film.
With SIMTY at UCF, you'll be able to connect with local industry pros, learn about new technology in the industry, as well as get backstage experience that really matters. Join SIMTY for a backstage pass to all of this.
We meet every last Monday of the month for our general body meetings. There we discuss how new technology is being used to create new media, and we get to highlight local professionals and their specialties.
On top of that, we have some site visits planned, so tune into our social media to be notified of when those will happen.
So if you're ready to pull back the curtain and find out what really happens behind the scenes, join SIMTY at UCF.
And welcome back to segment 3. Like Joe mentioned in the close of the last segment, we're doing conference realignment. Let's start with the new Pac-12. It's a completely new look, starting with Texas State, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Gonzaga, and Oregon State and Wazoo, which were already in there before. A lot of states in this
Hey,
conference.
the Pac is back. It's good to see them come back, but also the Mountain West. You can see they lost a bunch of teams there, but they added UTEP, Northern Illinois, and welcome to the FBS, North Dakota State.
Wow. Can
How
you
about
believe
that? Another team joining in the MAC, Sacramento State. So 2 FCS to FBS teams. And we should welcome in our guest to kind of talk about this segment. Matthew Pulbrook, welcome back to Nighttime. Are you happy about conference realignment again?
Yeah, conference realignment with these Sacramento State and as well as North Dakota State. A lot of changes going through in a new group of 6 of the Pac-12 and Mountain West. It's very interesting. Thank you, guys.
Well, let's talk about the FCS power, North Dakota State, joining the FBS. It's finally happened. I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for this. 10 championships since 2011, titles under 4 different head coaches, 51-5 record in the FCS playoffs. First question I have for you guys is, can North Dakota State compete somewhat similarly to what they did in the FCS and the FBS level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the winning will exactly translate because of the fact that they're going to be playing teams that are either at their level or better than them, and what they've been used to is teams that are either at their level or worse than them. But I think that it's a good transition. They've had many draft picks out of North Dakota State, and they're just in general one of the best FCS schools that we've ever seen. So I'll pitch it to you, Matt. What do you think about the NDSU Bison moving to FBS?
Oh, this is a long time coming, guys. Long time coming. For like the better part of like the last 2 decades, NDSU has been the best FCS program there is. And you mentioned, Andrew, a lot of NFL draft picks to go to that program, including like Trey Lance for one of them. But this is a long time coming. You mentioned as well, Joe, with the 10 championships since 2011. So this is a long time coming, and I feel like they're going to join the FBS in the same level as what James Madison did a couple of years back. Success from the beginning, pretty much, in the Mountain West. They are going to be one of the best teams in that conference, I think.
Wow. Maybe I'm a little bit too low on them then.
I think they're going to be competing for Mountain West bids and Group of 6 playoff bids 100%. And the Mountain West is going to be very open now that they lost Boise State. And they have a lot of history against FBS opponents. They've gone in, they've beaten Iowa at Iowa. They played Colorado back when they had Shador and gave them a run for their money. So this team's very talented. It's finally happened that they're in the FBS level. So it's going to be exciting. But which conference do you think has improved the most? Andrew, we'll start with you.
I think it's got to be the Pac-12, right? The fact that they went from 2 teams back up to a reasonable amount makes them just the best conference overall. They've nabbed a couple guys from other good schools. Obviously, Boise State has a playoff appearance. Colorado State has been up and down in football, but they're still relatively competitive. And Gonzaga for basketball is huge for them. So I think in general, and San Diego State has a good athletic program, so does Fresno State as well. I don't want to leave them out. I think that the Pac-12 probably has the biggest additions, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Who do you think had the biggest additions?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you with the Pac-12. To go from 2 back to 8 or 7 or 8 now with Gonzaga in basketball, that's probably their best pickup is Gonzaga for basketball. Yeah. But Matt, what do you think? Same thing, Pac-12?
Yeah, Pac-12, this is pretty easy to go from 2 teams back up to, what is it, like 8 or 9 now with Gonzaga, and this is going to be a pretty good football conference, probably competing up there with almost the American in terms of that Group of 6 playoff spot with Boise State being added in, and especially San Diego State, who I think is going to be good this year too.
Yeah, you left off on San Diego State, and I wanted to mention the fact that they, remember the FAU run, they're the team that snapped.
They were in the national championship.
They were in the national championship game, so they add Gonzaga to the mix for basketball, but then also San Diego State is right up there in terms of a good athletic program, and we saw them just a couple years ago in the Final Four, and not just the Final Four, the conference championship game. So moving on, though, Sacramento State. I want to get back to a team that is moving from FCS to FBS. I'll start with you, Matt. What do you think about the transition?
Honestly, no, because I don't think this is a good decision. There's a reason why the Mountain West and Pac-12 didn't allow them in when they tried to get in. They've been trying this for years upon years, and they've made the move to the MAC. And all their conference opponents, when they go on the road, the travel costs for that be insane. Honestly, 2,000 miles to go travel, basically for 6 games a year, I think it's ridiculous, and especially with how the program has been going in the FCS not too well. After going 12-1 in 2022, they have yet to win over 8 games since then. And they're making budget cuts and making a bunch of stuff with the university. I don't think it makes any really financial sense, personally, from what I know. But yeah, just to put it bluntly, this isn't a good decision.
I agree with you 100%. They paid the MAC $23 million to get in, and as he said, they're going to have to pay for airfare and travel for all the MAC teams that come visit them in all their road games. That's going to be a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good financial decision at the very least. I think that they have been making moves in the right direction, at least in basketball. They got Mikey Williams from UCF last year, and then also Shaq helps run that department. So I think in general their athletics are on the up, but I don't know that this is exactly the smartest move for them, especially from a school that's going to have to be doing, like we just mentioned, a ton of financial, making a ton of financial decisions. So I tend to agree with you guys. I probably don't think that this is the correct move for them.
But hey, good for them. They've been wanting to get to the FBS level for some time now. You've seen their name pop up and wanting to do that. So good for them for finally getting in, and they're going to take part in some action next season. Let's head into the Group of 6. It was Group of 5. Now we're back to the Group of 6. What is the best Group of 6 conference right now? I'll start with you, Matthew.
This is easily the American with Memphis, USF, Navy, North Texas, Tulane. I know North Texas and Tulane, their coaches have gone on to bigger and better programs with the Power 4 with Eric Morris with North Texas and with John Summerall going to Florida. But this is easily the American with Memphis and USF, and by far I think this is the best Group of 6 conference.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you with that. And then our Group of 6 playoff contender, are they coming from the American or a different conference?
I think that they could come from the American. I tend to agree with you guys in the fact that the American is one of the best conferences in all of conference in the Group of 6. I personally think it could be USF. They get a new coach, but I'm curious to hear what Matt thinks. Who do you think is going to be an early playoff contender?
Honestly, Hawaii, probably pretty good too for Mountain West. I've been hearing a lot of good things about them, so maybe them.
Yeah, I had Hawaii written down as well, but let's get into our games of the week for college basketball this week. A big one in the ACC between number 25 Louisville and Miami, and then a rivalry game between number 2 Michigan and number 7 Michigan State. Andrew, who you taking in these two matchups?
Yeah, I think that Michigan is a little bit too hot for Michigan State. I think that they sweep them this year, and I can't go against Miami, so give me the Canes and give me the Wolverines.
Give me Louisville and give me Michigan as well. Let's take a wrap on this one. Happy March. We'll see you next time on Nighttime.
You love picking against me.
I love to.